Hello, this is Piyush Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, Hansraj College. I welcome you all to the ongoing lecture series on Sudha Murty's Wise and Otherwise, which is a collection of 51 short anecdotes from Sudha Murty's life. The book is a part of the syllabus of the generic elective course, GE course, titled Life and Literature. As we know, this is the ongoing lecture, the sixth lecture in the series of lectures that I will be preparing on Sudha Murty's Wise and Otherwise. In the previous few lectures, I have discussed the introduction to Sudha Murty, the introduction to the book Wise and Otherwise, and in the previous lectures, I had given a brief analysis of the first 20 anecdotes from Wise and Otherwise. In continuation, I will be taking on today's lecture from story number 21 till story number 25. As we know, in multiples of 5, I'll be covering each and every story, of Sudha Murty's Wise and Otherwise. So let us go on to story number 21 today, which is titled Salaam, Namaste. So this story is basically about, people who are good-hearted, good-hearted people like Zubaida, right? So this is a story about Zubaida, who is an extremely honest woman, and she's people who are always willing to do good to the others. So in this story, Sudha Murty talks about Sheikh Muhammad, who runs a tiny shop by selling books. One day, Sudha Murty gets to know that his niece also stays with Sheikh Muhammad, and upon closer investigation, she got to know that his sister Zubaida is suffering from a terminal disease. She's suffering from cancer, and they need a lot of money. So Muhammad Sheikh asked Sudha Murty to give him a check a few days earlier than usual, right? He mentioned that Zubaida is suffering from cancer and that they need a lot of money to save Zubaida. And the only thing that Sheikh Muhammad wanted was just his salary to be given a few days in advance, right? So that's all that Sheikh Muhammad is asking. But then Sudha realizes that to save someone from the clutches of cancer would require huge amount of hospitalization charges, and therefore Sudha Murty gives 50,000 rupees to him. Sudha Murty realizes that there have been so many people who have lied, who have been spreading lies to somehow get some money from Sudha Murty, but here her own employee Sheikh Muhammad, he's just asking for a salary in advance of that particular month only. So there is some level of honesty associated with Sheikh Muhammad, and that is why what Sudha Murty does is Sudha Murty gives a big amount, and that is she gives 50,000 rupees. But later on, they could get to know that Zubaida could not be saved due to the terminal disease that she was suffering from, and they spent 47,000 rupees, and the remaining 3,000 was now given back to Sudha Murty. So Sheikh Muhammad comes and gives that amount to Sudha Murty, and he also informs her that it was upon Zubaida's insistence that when they realized that she will not be able to survive, it was Zubaida who asked her brother Sheikh Muhammad to return the remaining amount to Sudha Murty, so that 3,000 rupees which is left, that can be given to someone else, and someone who is in more need of her or more need of the money rather than Zubaida herself. So this is a story of of honesty, and then Sudha also meets the young daughter of Zubaida, and she believes that the young daughter will also inherit the lessons of kindness and compassion and honesty from her dead mother, right? So this is basically a story of compassion for others. In this case, it is Zubaida who is herself suffering from a terminal illness, but she wants the money to be returned back to someone else, so that she, this money can be used for some better purpose, because she knows that she is anyway dying. So it's a tragic story, it's a sad story, but at the same time, it's a beautiful story about honesty, about intentions, about good intentions, and about the largeness of one's heart. So even on her deathbed, she is willing to think about the benefit of someone else in need. So this is the largeness of heart of Zubaida. So therefore, in this collection of anecdotes, wise and otherwise, there are good people, then there are bad people, then there are exceptionally bad people, but they all represent humanity. So basically, Sudha Murty is trying to show us that different people, they are representing different sides of human nature. right? So this is what Sudha Murty is trying to teach her, to teach that in a world full of evil people, there are some people who are good hearted, and that, one must always focus on the good people, and one must, try to be compassionate towards the needy, and should also, do philanthropic activities, right? So the story of Zubeda can inspire us all to always do good, no matter how difficult the circumstance can be. So that is story number 21, titled Salaam, Namaste. Next up, we have anecdote number 22, which is titled A Wedding to Remember. So this story number 22 is very special for the author, because one day Sudha Murty gets an invitation from some unknown person to attend their wedding, and she visits there, and there she meets some people. So basically, anecdote number 22. Anecdote number 22 is about the way people can change their lives by reading literature. It's a very important anecdote, because it talks about the special place of literature, right? Literature as a discipline, as a hobby, as an art form in someone's life. So that is why this paper is also being offered in the GE, because reading these stories will help us approach life and appreciate life in all its colors and its aspects, and so literature has the higher purpose to change lives. So this is perhaps what exactly the crux of the story is, right? So it can motivate people to do better. It can give people a direction in their lives if anyone reads literature sensitively, isn't it? So the story begins, as I said, with Sudha Murty getting a wedding card from some unknown people, and it was written, and this is what you can see on the screen. This was written: "Madam, if you do not attend our marriage, we will consider it unfortunate." This is exactly what was written on the wedding invitation. So out of curiosity, she goes there, and then she gets to know, she meets the groom's father, and he mentions that it is because of Sudha Murty that this wedding is actually happening. So she is surprised, because she had virtually no role to play in it consciously, but then she got to know that the groom read Sudha Murty's novel Mahashweta, where the girl was terminally ill due to leukemia, and then the groom refused to marry a girl who is terminally ill due to a skin disease. But this boy, he read the novel, and at the same time reading such a novel, he was moved, he changed, and he became a better person, in the sense that he realized that the girl whom he is going to marry, she might be ill, but it is no fault of her, right? And despite that, he goes and tries to marry, and this is what the wedding is actually about. So the wedding is actually happening because of the groom's changed attitude after reading the novel Mahashweta. And by the way, the readers can definitely read the novel. It's a heartwarming novel. It's a beautiful novel about how a girl gets refused, and how she is rejected in marriage because of the skin issue that she is facing, which will remain with her throughout her life, and the groom simply refuses to marry her. But in the novel, unlike the novel, in this current story, it is the boy who willingly goes to marry, because he realizes the larger purpose of literature, and that is the girl it was not the fault of the girl, rather it was something which was beyond her control. It was just sheer bad luck. So therefore, the groom decided to marry, because he was moved and he was changed, and it affected the novel Mahashweta affected. So Sudha Murty is extremely happy to know this, and she is really happy to know that her novel was able to change someone's life. And this is story number 22. Let's come to anecdote number 23 now, which is titled Insensitivity Index. So in this story, Sudha Murty goes to a housewarming party, for a friend, and Sudha Murty tells here that people have become highly sensitive, and then she says that the current generation, they are setting the blueprints for the future generations, and if people are insensitive nowadays, so the coming generations will also become insensitive, and the humanity itself will fail to deliver the good to each other. So that is story number 23. Next up, we have anecdote number 24, which is titled To Sir with Love, which talks about teachers. Right, so Sudha Murty and her friend Asha, they are walking, and one day they see an old mathematics teacher who was not at all good, in the class, who never behaved nicely with the students, who was extremely strict, and he treated the students very, rudely, and then, no student had any good memories for this particular mathematics teacher. Then later on, the story goes on to the signs of a good and a bad teacher. Sudha Murty says that knowledge is not the only criteria of a good teacher, rather it is the willingness to teach in the class, rather it is a willingness to bring something good, and to work, to work for a larger cause, for the students, for the teachers in fact. So a good teacher is perhaps not someone who is extremely knowledgeable, but perhaps a good teacher is the one who is willing to teach, who is willing to take the extra step, who is willing to go the extra mile in trying to do good for his students, and someone who's passionate about teaching itself. So that is the sign of a good teacher. And then they talk about another teacher. His name was Raghavendra, who taught mathematics, but he made the entire reading of mathematics absolutely delightful, and he attracted huge number of students. He attracted students like a snake charmer attracts the snakes. So he always used to say that the duty of a teacher is to make students confident to face the problems in their lives, right? And it's to inspire the students and rather to act as a role model for them, right? And a teacher should always produce students who are better than him. So according to Sudha Murty, she gives this analogy that a teacher is like a burning candle who in the process of burning himself or herself tries to give light to everybody, right, while burning themselves out. So this is the larger lesson that Sudha Murty is trying to give us. Then she also says that the lessons that she has received from her teachers will not be able to, she will not be able to receive those lessons from anyone, no matter how much amount of money she can, she spends. So money cannot buy the various life lessons of wisdom that she has received from her teachers. So therefore, the story titled To Serve with Love talks about how good teachers make big differences in the lives of the students. So, they are the teachers who are willing to teach and who are willing to learn and perhaps, to deliver the best to the students. And Sudha Murty clearly says that knowledge is not the only marker of a teacher, rather it is the will to teach students and to make them confident in the class. This is the hallmark of a good teacher. So this is story number 24. Next up, we have the last topic of the day, that is anecdote number 25, which is titled Pay or I Will Commit Suicide. So in this particular story, Sudha Murty defines what is real help, right, and whom should we really help. So one day randomly she gets a letter from a man who asks that she Sudha Murty has to pay her 5 crore rupees, and if she does not, then he will commit suicide. So this makes Sudha Murty think about the word help. Of course, Sudha Murty chose not to help such a person, but this incident made her realize what is the meaning of help, what is the meaning of real help. The real meaning of help is basically, according to Sudha Murty, it's helping the needy, it's helping the last person, it's like supporting the one who is completely supportless, right? This is the idea that Sudha Murty is trying to say. She said that very few people understand the meaning of help, and she says that giving money to a well-to-do person or an institution is not at all help. This is not what help is. Help is helping the most disadvantaged person in the society, someone who is at a grave disadvantage, the lowest of the lowest rung, of the society. So rather, help should only be given to someone who is most needy, who is most helpless. So Sudha Murty has decided to offer her financial support and financial help only to those people who are actually doing bad in life, in the sense that they are completely helpless, they are completely defenseless, and perhaps some amount of money can help them and bring some change in their lives, right? So this is what Sudha Murty is trying to say. So the story talks about the meaning of help, the meaning of charity, the meaning of philanthropy, and it shows the bad sides of humans also, right? And Sudha Murty in this story simply, even she even mentioned that if she ever refuses to help someone, then those same people who were coming to her for help earlier on treat her with hostility and hatred. So, Sudha Murty is trying to show the bad signs of humans, that there are people like this as well. And then, if you remember in this lecture itself, there are people like Zubeda who even on her deathbed are willing to help others and giving back the remaining amount of money so that it can be used for someone else's help. So we have people of all sorts in our lives, in our day-to-day lives. So this is what Sudha Murty is trying to say in this particular short story. So I would come to the end of this lecture. We completed story number 21 till story number 25. I hope the readers were able to understand and gain perspectives on this story, and perhaps it will also help them in the incoming exams. Thank you so much for joining in with me. I will see you very soon in the subsequent lectures with the remaining part. We are almost halfway through this book, Wise and Otherwise by Sudha Murty. Some 25-26 more stories are remaining. Please stay tuned, and I'll definitely come up with more lectures. Keep sharing this video and keep commenting. You can comment your doubts in the comment section below, and I would be really happy to take them up in the subsequent lectures. Thank you so much. I'll see you very soon. Goodbye. Jai Hind.